Hello, everyone. This is Craig from the podcast. Today's episode is a Patreon exclusive featuring Bob Langan and my teacher, Jay Conway. And we're talking about Michael Mann's Heat in conjunction with the philosophy of Gilles Deleuze. This episode is just our way of saying thank you to those who contribute to us on a monthly basis. And that's it. Let's just get right on to today's episode. We will say right at the top, if you haven't seen the movie Heat by Michael Mann, well, you should go see it. We're going to talk a lot about it, and so there's spoilers all over the place. So maybe go see it first and then come back and listen to this episode. Otherwise, enjoy. All right, welcome everyone. This is a Patreon exclusive discussion. Adam is on vacation this week, indulging in death metal, doom metal, black metal, basically every variety of metal. And I've been left with the keys to the castle. But that has allowed me to let in Bob Langan, who is a repeat guest on Acid Horizon and Left Hand, and is doing a course with the Acid Horizon Research Commons in the fall on Jung and Spinoza. And also returning champion, Jay Conway, professor at Cal State LA. At least I believe he's still a professor there. He was my professor, and he was the thesis chair for my thesis on Deleuze and Kafka and sundry topics. And today we have come together to discuss something of great importance, which is Michael Mann's film Heat and its philosophical connections, namely those connections that it might have with the work of a favorite philosopher between the three of us, Gilles Deleuze. And Bob, in our reading group for The Logic of Sense, put forward this interesting argument that allowed us to explain basically Deleuze's logic of sense, but also in its particular parts with some of the concepts that Deleuze uses there, namely the portmanteau, the paradoxical element, sign and signifier. And we're hoping here today that since that particular reading group session, Bob has developed those thoughts and he's going to put them forward here today. I came into this discussion basically with empty pockets. Not to say that I didn't have Deleuzean insights about, philosophical insights for that matter, about the movie Heat, but I started thinking about it today and I looked at there's some minimal secondary literature that connects Michael Mann's films and the work of Deleuze. And interestingly, it kind of overlapped with some of the thoughts that I have. And so maybe I'll bring that to the discussion. And then of course, Jay, with whom I had in our initial exchanges with each other, we confessed our love for Deleuze and for Michael Mann's film Heat. With that said, we'll just introduce everybody in the discussion. Perhaps we'll start with Jay, who's returning to us here. And I don't know, Jay, talk about Heat, your relationship to the film. I think you said you watch it at least once a year. I'm about like once every 18 months. What does that film do for you? Where does it sit in your personal mythology? And say anything you'd like about it.
Yeah, I first saw it when it came out. I was living in Florida, and I found myself returning to the theater and ended up seeing it 3 times. And then it was interesting, just last year, I saw it twice in the theater again over here at the Vista Theater that Tarantino is now the owner of and programmer at, and was reminded of what a powerful experience that is in the theater. There's a lot of kind of things I'm interested in that are kind of connected to the film, but I'll just mention a couple things kind of recently. One is I've been doing some writing on the novels of Edward Bunker, and really great crime novelist. And Bunker was a consultant on Heat, and he was the basis for the character of Nate. And in fact, John Voight has a physical appearance that's kind of modeled on Edward Bunker. And then in my book on Deleuze, I never mentioned Heat and didn't think about Heat, but I did attach a lot of significance to an essay Deleuze wrote entitled The Philosophy of Crime.